Yeah.
I want to start by talking about writing people thank you notes, because it is an old-fashioned thing, but something that people don't often think about is the value of saying thank you. So how does gratitude, how important is gratitude and showing gratitude in your life?
It's the first thing I do in the morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So when I wake up, make a cup of tea. I've got a beautiful gratitude book, and it's called the 5-minute gratitude journal. So what it does is you have to think of 3 things to write, what you're grateful for. And sometimes I'll start it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I've forgotten to write it, and I'll take it with me on the tram to work. But usually 9 times out of 10, I'll wake up and I'll look at it and I'll go, I'm so grateful for my hot cup of tea. I'm so grateful for my cosy, comfy bed. And maybe I'm so grateful for my sister, because usually most times she'll ring me in the morning and have a yarn. So I start the day off with, what am I grateful for? And sometimes it's the big things like, I'm so glad that I got paid $500 today.
Yeah, and we have to be able to address those things. They're not little things.
No. And sometimes I'm glad. I'll say things like, I'm so grateful I was able to give my girlfriend some money to help her and her 2 kids get to the next payday. So it's being grateful that I can do things for other people as well.
And there's little moments of reflection. I'm bad at not making time for meditation and reflection as much as I ought to. I love doing things like the bonus episodes and conversations like this, because it does ground me and make me present and does make me think about things like that. Because with a moment of meditation, or sometimes the right song or the right movie reminds you of, hey, are you thinking about this important thing? Have you thought about this relationship? Have you called up this friend in a while? Have you always been good at practicing gratitude, or is this a practice that you had to arrive at?
I think I've always been grateful because I've had parents that have shown me to be grateful for the small things. So I was raised in a family where Mum didn't work until I was in high school, so we only had 1 income, 1 car. And growing up in a family, we relied on, Dad's income. And I was so grateful for everything. And my mother practiced gratitude. Be grateful for this, my girls. Be grateful for this, my boy, my youngest brother. So, but it's a practice that I have really gotten into probably in the last 20 years. I really practice gratitude every day. I might not always write it down, but I always stop and remember at the end of the day, what happened today that made it so grateful? Because I think the more that you're grateful for, the more that comes back to you. And that's what I've learnt in this space of coming to Melbourne and all the things that have happened to me when I landed here 3 years ago.
Not taking it for granted.
Yeah.
And my mum's the same. She was always someone with almost a running commentary of, oh, isn't it nice to be out in the sun? Or, oh, look, isn't it nice that we're having a pastry on the beach? Or just those things that are little, but as you grow up, you go, oh, this is everything, actually. Pastry on the beach and being out on a warm summer's day. And she'll remark, oh, isn't it nice seeing people have a nice glass of wine out in the sun? And as a kid, 7, 8 years old, I'm like, yeah, sure, Mum, cool, I guess. But now I'm 36 and I'm going, it is really nice. It's lovely to have a nice glass of wine in the sun, and that's it. And yes, you can go, but what about what I don't have? And what about this? And what about that? And wouldn't I love this? And wouldn't I? And some of us are very wired to always be thinking about the next thing.
I think so, Marcel. I think the more you focus on what you've got, the more that comes to you. What you focus on, you create and achieve, and it comes back to you. It's my belief. And I think with everything happening in the world, not only in a multitude of countries all around the world, I think that makes me grateful to wake up and go, oh my gosh, I actually woke up and I could turn the kettle on. I could make a cup of tea. There are children and families who are starving. And it's not to just say, oh, my God, there's someone starving. We know that. But to remember what to be blessed for. And look, even because I've got her beanie in my bag because I bought I'll bring it out and show you.
Yeah, please.
Doing a little thing.
Little show and tell.
For Carrie Bickmore. I bought one. The beanie arrived in 2 days' time, and it reminded me of someone that I loved very close to me, one of my cousins who passed away from a brain tumour. And just wearing that makes me think of him. I won't say his name. I'll just respect my family's privacy. But he was a bigger than life person. And when I look at that, and I only Carrie and Tommy, I only donated $10, but I'm always donating $10 to lots of causes, lots of GoFundMe's, because even $10 or $5 makes a difference. But it makes you stop and aware that he didn't live past a certain age, you know. He only made it to whatever age it was, you know, he was quite young still. And it reminds me that at the age of 60, I'm still here and still creating and still loving and enjoying life. Every day that I wake up is a blessing. And one of the biggest things that I say about blessings is, what's the most thing you're grateful for, Janty? It's when my feet hit the floor first thing in the morning. If my feet are hitting the floor, that means I woke up alive.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm still here. Yeah. I have a hat too that reminds me of a friend that passed away. It's his favorite hockey team, and I need those little touchstones because, once again, fast-paced world. Not many of us are in a culture of taking a meditative moment to reflect, and so I need those little moments to go, oh yeah, I'm here and he isn't, and it's significant, and I ought to be living my life fully as much as I can. And I think there's also a warmth that comes with that, where like you have such a lovely aura, and people that practice gratitude and have a warmth, there's an aura and people want to be around and people want to work with that person. People don't want to work with the person who always looks fed up and always looks as if they're hard done by. Yeah. And why don't I have that thing that other person has? It's like, okay, cool. You're going down my list of people I want to work with.
Exactly. Rosie stopped by my desk the other day. She came in on her bike, and I think she lives in Brunswick. A lot of the girls that ride to live in Brunswick, and she stopped by my desk and she said, Janty, just when I see your face and you say good morning and smile at me, I feel better already. And I'm going, if that's my gift for the day, if that's the only thing that someone says to me, I think that's amazing. And don't think I just arrived at this place of feeling grateful. And I've had envy, I've had jealousy. Why didn't I get married? I've been engaged 3 times. Like, why couldn't I get to the altar? Why is my sister being married for 35 years, you know? And then I look at it and I go, no, just live your life like I lost my beautiful niece when she was 21, and I honour her every day too for the things that she can't do when she's here. And there's this saying that says, live your life like the best characteristics of the person that you lost.
Oh, that's lovely.
It's beautiful. She was joyous. She was funny. She loved to dance. She was a great cook. She was a vegetarian. I love that about her too. And I remember one of the last meals my sister made for her. We were all together we're at the Blues Festival in Byron Bay, and I remember my sister making her that tuna salad. I say it wrong. I call it tuna Nikoisi, and I know that's not the right terminology.
Listeners, where we want your feedback, because I don't know what it is.
And it's got tuna, it's got tomatoes, it's got cucumber.
A classic vegetarian dish.
And I remember my sister, and my sister's such a good cook, and that's why I'll get back to my sister in a minute, and she made this dish, and I remember my niece looking at it going, thank you, Aunty, this is so beautiful. And every mouthful she took, it was like it had been made by the king's, chef, or a 5-star Michelin chef. And, and in that moment is one of my favourite memories. Shout out to my sister. It's her last day of being in her 50s today.
Oh, that's lovely.
And if you go to my Instagram.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday for 59. She's 60 tomorrow, and we are 60 together for 3 weeks.
Yeah, right. You have that little crossover.
We have that little crossover. And she texted me just before I got here, because I sent her my playlist that uplifts me when I'm going somewhere. And she said, sis, how did you feel turning 60? And I said, well, I was in Uluru with you and a whole bunch of girlfriends and family, and I woke up with you, and I said I just felt so blessed to wake up with you. And not many of us, especially being Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander, not a lot of us get to the age of 60. I've lost so many family members. When you talk about gratitude, Marcel, it's NAIDOC week next month, but for me, NAIDOC is the month of July. It's celebrating those who've come before me, who I'm blessed to look back on in my own family, and shout out for NAIDOC week coming up. So my workplace has a street party. I'll give them a plug.
Oh, great.
Thursday, July 10th. It's in Sackville Street, Collingwood. We're closing off the top of Smith Street down to, I think, not quite Wellington. It's the one back from Wellington. But we're going to have music, comedy. We're going to celebrate.
Are you doing anything?
No, because they said, I'm just going to MC some of the comedy stuff.
Well, that sounds like you're doing something.
Yeah, I'm doing something. Yeah. So please come down. It starts at 1 o'clock and it's till 5 o'clock.
Oh, I love that. I want to continue this thread of gratitude and the aura and the warmth and all of that, those beautiful things that come with it, and the benchmarks we hit, and recognizing too, I want to hit on this, coming back to that idea of, you're not presenting yourself as I am always perfect in this beautiful way of gratitude practice. And I want to count myself amongst the sweeties of the world, people who create lovely environments and bring people together. I love to do it, and I love the warmth that comes with it. But there is parts of me every now and then goes, when people go, oh, Marcel, thanks so much for inviting me to this thing. Thanks so much for putting it on. That another voice also goes, yeah, you could do the inviting next time, would be great as well. Like, I'd love to be invited as well. But I recognize the value of being the inviter, being the community maker, because I want to be in that thing. And I hope it attracts people to invite me to things as well. But that is what comes with being someone who gives warmth, creates warmth, is that we also need to be given back warmth every now and then as well.
Absolutely. The lesson I learned from that too, Marcel, is don't do anything if you're doing it for accolades. Thank you. Oh, that's so amazing. Do it because you really want to do it, because then it comes from a different place as well. My sister and I go, why don't they organise the party or the tea party or why don't they? We've stopped that, and I go, you know what, because we love to do it. Come on, let's admit it. We love to do it. We love to create. We love to invite people in. We love to create a space, that's warm and welcoming. And Marcel, you would love my sister Mandy. And so
perhaps we'll cross paths in the future.
I think we will, because back in 2021 COVID had just I call it a gammon COVID. Gammon means it's fake or false. We had a gammon COVID in Queensland.
I heard the word gammon a lot in your festival show this year. And
Mandy has always been funny, and she said, I want to put on a comedy show. So we had Steph Tisdale had just been to Townsville. She had COVID, it had lifted the, what is it called?
Restrictions.
Yes, had lifted. And she was doing her first comedy show at Molly Malone's in Townsville, and she had Kylan Ambram with her. And after watching the show, my sister said, I want to do a comedy show. So I helped produce it, and we put it on at Molly Malone's, and we sold 110 tickets. And anything above and over the bar, what was the profit we could keep. My sister, one night of comedy, we made $3,500 because 90% of her friends are alcoholics.
And that's what makes money is the bar sales. That's what you want to be involved in.
We could not believe. They were drinking till midnight. They had to chuck us out because I think the Scottish people, some of her Scottish friends, and you know who you are if you're listening to this because I'm going to be tagging you in the post. They know how to drink. The Scottish know how to drink. So we did that show, and then I moved down to Byron Bay to house sit, and I was on a Bumble date in Byron Bay at a comedy charity event that were raising money for a performer who was quite ill, terminally ill, and Jamoan and Akmal were the headliners. So it was at the Byron Bay Community Centre. I met my date there, and I watched the show, and there were a lot of female comedians, and nobody looked like me. And I said to my date, nobody looks like me. And he goes, no, they don't look like you.
Yeah. And just a reminder to people that are in charge of making lineups, think about who your audience looks like and make a little bit of an effort.
Yeah, I think, and because Akmal is brown and he spotted me in the audience, he spotted me like a heat-seeking missile. I don't know, he probably doesn't even remember this, but he spotted me in the audience and I spotted him, and I was laughing and looking at him. It was really great. And then afterwards, my date introduced me to the organisers of that event. And so 2 nights later, I was doing my first open mic at the Ballina Shores Hotel.
And did you have any aspirations to do comedy? Never. Like it had never creeped into your head? Any like public speaking type stuff? You saw a stage that you weren't represented on and went, why not me? And that was like, that's it. There you are.
I think there's a little bit behind it, because what had happened is my big sister cousin had passed away a couple of years before that, and I was doing midwifery. I was a nurse and midwife for quite a long time, 28, 29 years. But when she passed away, I said to myself, what could I do if I knew I couldn't fail? And it's always been acting and performing. So I enrolled at QUT and I studied a Bachelor of Fine Arts majoring in drama.
Right. And so that was something you'd been intrigued about?
Absolutely. And I wanted to go to QUT. It's where my brother went. It's where Deb Mailman went. It's where a lot of Aboriginal performers have gone. And so I didn't apply for the acting component. I enrolled in the drama. And what happened is I did a couple of acting courses in that. And so I think by the time, so a year and a half, nearly 2 years of finishing that degree, I was ignited by performing, and I could see that maybe I could do comedy from the courses I'd done at QUT.
Was that the sort of feedback you were getting?
Yeah, look, I think I've always been a bit of a performer, even in the labour ward when you're pretending to be something that you're quite not, or pretending to be, even as a young nurse, pretending that when a paddy wagon full of 6 big Torres Strait Islander footballers get out and you've got to stitch them up and put casts on them and do x-rays, you're pretending to be something you're not, which is, oh, just this way, sir. Can I bandage your arm? Oh, you're spurting blood from here. Let's get that covered. And inside you're going, I want to go back to Brisbane.
Yeah.
I want to leave. Because I was in the Torres Strait and I was only young as a young registered nurse. It was my second position. I'd worked at Princess Alexandra Hospital. This was in 1987. The next year, 1988, I was in the Torres Straits working.
The year I was born.
1988? Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. And here's Janty suturing not only people's eyebrows and lips and heads, we also were like a veterinarian place. So we were actually, sewing up dogs' balls and things like that.
That can't be your agenda for the day. It's like you got human, dog, human, dog.
I kid you not. For some of the things I came across, it was remarkable that, but the beauty of working in remote areas is the connections you make in community, but also my nursing skills went through the roof.
Well, you can do dogs now as well.
I can do dogs. I can do horses. I can sew up cats.
It sounds like the hospital just had a side hustle going on as well. Let's try and make a little bit of money on the side. Okay, so this is beautiful. And might I say, you are an excellent interviewee because you are driving this beautifully. Like we're into origin story stuff. We're jumping around beautifully. It's great. It's really, really good. So we are at Byron Bay going 2 nights. So how does one prepare from going from, okay, I've gone to acting school, I've had some stage time, I have the love of this, I have an intrigue about I could be funny, I could be on stage. How do you prepare for a gig in 2 days?
You ring your sister up in Townsville, you talk to her, you ring all your funny cousins and aunts, you get feedback from them, then you ring your girlfriends, you ring them up, they come around and help you do your hair and makeup while you're drinking vodka, lime and sodas.
You come on stage with a bit of a buzz for that first show?
I certainly did. And I'd written everything on paper, and I'd also seen people write things on their palms, but when it came to looking at my palms, because they were so sweaty, everything I'd written was a blacky mess on my palm. The piece of paper I had was scrunched up so tight that I've never been one, I don't know how people do it, write things on my palm or on a piece of paper or look at my phone. I've never been one of those people. I just have to do it in the moment, and a lot of
which I think is better. I write stuff on the back of my hand usually just to know it's there, but I'll really never look at it. I just like knowing, and I think it's also as a brain exercise. Before I stepped on stage, I have written down my set somewhere. I know it exists.
Exactly right. And I've written it, but it doesn't mean anything because you can't, it's illegible now. But to prepare for that night, I remember my girlfriends coming over with Lynn and her sister and their 2 daughters. So the 4 of them were around me. We were drinking. They were driving, and so we drove down to Ballina. But I think I've done
the Ballina gig for Roadshow. Yeah.
At the Shores Hotel?
That would have been it was like an RSL type thing. Yeah. Right. But it was a fun little atmosphere.
And, of course, I was number 8 or 9. And, of course, I had to go after one of the most sexiest female human beings I'd ever seen. Like, she was, like, drop-dead gorgeous. And I'm completely straight, but I would have turned for her because she was so hot. And I'm going, how am I going to go after a hot comedian? But you know what I've learned? That's the best place to be. Don't go before, go after the hot comedian because they're just salivating and so happy to see,
It's a lesson for new comedians out there. If you're going to ask, we're going to be in the lineup, who's hot? I want to be after them. Is that okay to ask the room runner?
Yeah, don't put me for the hot person because they're all excited after the hot person. And they didn't leave the room, we were outdoors. It was, I'm just trying to think if John Peacock was there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, JP.
I think JP was
He's
there.
a member of the Comedy Writers Group.
Yeah, I think JP, I think you were there. And and luckily there was middle-aged women there because they were laughing at my jokes. And then I was making jokes with the young people. And you've got to remember, I've never done it. I've never done an open mic.
This is the thing too, is like, and this might sound like a glib question, but how do you even go, what does a joke look like? Like, you know, and I know like culturally we're sharing jokes all the time and just making each other laugh. But like when people go, I am now writing a joke, the funniest person in the room can suddenly have a short circuit in their brain to go, but what does that look like on the page? So what was your first laugh? Did you get laughs? Was there a vibe?
I don't know what I started talking about.
I mean,
dating.
you were soused, so I want to sort of know how. Do you remember much?
I was pickled, but I wasn't over pickled. I was just the right amount of pickle, you know, and enough that I helped produce my sister's comedy show. Mm-hmm. Have enough funny people in my family to know how they tell a joke, and a lot of people in my family have been watching people like Richard Pryor or the old school, Benny Hill. So,
oh, yeah, that's why you did that routine where you ran back and forth on stage being chased by scantily clad women. Great finale.
I don't know what it is. I don't know. And I'm not even a big lover of watching comedy, but I do love, she's got a show coming up, Effie, like, you know, Effie, Con the Fruiterer.
Classics, yeah.
The classics, Con the Fruiterer. But for black comedy, you know, look, as I said to Kevin Crapinieri, I'd never heard your name until I went to Melbourne 3 years ago. Like, who the hell is Kevin Crapinieri or Crapinieri? And
you still don't know who he is.
I still don't know. I'm still trying to find out who the hell he is.
But it's the thing. It's like, a lot of people come, and when you enter the comedy world, we do need to remind ourselves as comedians that we are in our own little world, and you find that out very quickly. And you were flying outside of the town hall, and you do learn very quickly the person passing by, the general audience, they don't have their finger on the pulse of who's who and who's, you know, oh, you don't know this incredible comedian. It's like, no, who's that? It's like, well, all us comedians know them as the person you got to see. And like Luke Heggie comes to mind. It's like, well, you got to see Luke Heggie. Everyone knows he's great. And they're like, Luke who? You're like, what? But this is the thing, when you're outsider, you don't know.
I have to tell a story. So when I came into comedy and I won the Deadly Funnies, I'd been doing comedy for about 8 weeks. And then,
I love how casual that is, but it's so great. It's awesome.
And then Steph Tisdall had invited me to be part of a black lineup in Brisbane, and we were at the Powerhouse, and we're downstairs. Just a lot of people are coming and going, and I'm there with my son. And then he goes, "Oh my God, there she is!" And I go, "Who? Who?" He goes, "Geraldine Hickey." And I said, "Who's Geraldine Hickey?" And he goes, "Oh my God, Mum, I'm so embarrassed for you. I can't believe you don't." And my son was fawning over Geraldine Hickey. So whenever I'm with Geraldine Hickey, I always get a picture with Geraldine, and we send it to Elijah. But he also loves Alex Ward, and Alex knows this. So I've done a couple of lineups with Alex. I have to take a picture of Alex and I together and send it to him. He goes, "Oh, Mum, I just love Alex." I said, "You know, he goes, "Yes, Mum, I know she's a lesbian."
I can love her anyway.
He said, "But if she was straight, I would go for her."
He seems to have he just loves lesbian comedians, it seems.
Elijah has I didn't realise his love of comedy and how much he knows of the comedy world and all the comedians in it, you know.
He could be on your shoulder like those movies where the president needs to know everyone in a ballroom or whatever. So Elijah's just on your shoulder going, "Okay, that's Jez Hickey. She's won a bunch of awards. She's very important." Like, "Oh, Jez, let me to see you." But I think there's always a beautiful quality to an outsider, in quotation marks, coming into a world, a different community, and going, "Okay, cool. I don't know who's who in the comedy world. I'm writing a joke for the first time, and it creates a really unique signature to that particular artist. Usually, it's like and this is why the in raw comedy and Deadly Funny, I'm sure happens a lot, and in Class Clowns. But raw comedy as an example, the people, and it's often like a Darwin comedian or Western Australia, who it's their first gig doing raw and they make it to the national finals, and they have such a distinct flavor to them because they haven't been influenced too much by what they've seen around the scene, and they haven't heard too many people go, oh, you're supposed to do it this way and you have to do it that way, and they go, oh, okay, I'll do it that way. And then everyone ends up being so bland and samey that it's so nice when someone comes in with such a distinct flavor. And also you've lived a life as well coming to comedy. So what it would have been late 50s that you were coming to comedy?
Yeah, I was 55, 56. And when I did that open mic night at the Shores, there was a whole bunch of 50-year-old women sitting to the right. And every time I looked over, they were like raucously laughing because I just even made a joke about it. And you know, when you go to the room and you've got to write a list and you got to get a pen and you walk into the next room and you go, what was I doing here? And then I go, oh yeah, get the pen, and then you drop the pen. I made jokes about forgetting stuff, and they were like, oh, they were killing. I said, you know, when you go to the shops and you've got to get the toilet paper, but you come back with everything but the toilet paper, and you get home and then you're using tissues to wipe your ass. You know?
Still good. Are these still on the rotation? Did these make it to the so 8 weeks later you're doing Deadly Funny? Wow.
8 weeks later. So I went back to Brisbane after my house sit, and I did all the little clubs around the Valley and in South Bank and in West End.
So you really hit the ground running, like movie montage style, where someone goes, you got it, kid, and then we cut to a montage of the signs of around the town and you walking between the places doing your gigs. You know when you forget the toilet paper and this gig and that gig. Yeah, I love that.
But I forgot to mention, when I did the open mic that Tuesday night, I think it was JP, and one of the organisers said, you need to go to a comedy writing workshop, which is being held in Lismore this weekend by Vanessa Larry Mitchell.
Oh, great.
So I went to Vanessa's comedy writing workshop over 2 days and met some great comedians, and we had so much fun. But that was my first proper comedy writing workshop. And that gave me the power, those couple of days with all of those creatives, to go back to Brisbane, to run to all the night, the gigs, take my QUT fellow students with me, because they would invite me and I'd have 10 people or cousins that would come with me. We'd just go from club to club to club. And then the Deadly Funny Heats came up. Someone reached out and said, Janty, you need to do the Deadly Funny Heats. So I did the Deadly Funny Heat.
National competition
at Inala. And I was the only female there, the oldest one, and with 4 other blokes, and we were just doing comedy, and met Tom Dickens, and so we did the show that night. First time I'd performed in a predominantly Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander crowd, and had my friend.
Did you notice a difference?
Absolutely, because I'd invited friends to come and family. But Norita, who's been following, she came to see my comedy that night, and she said to me, as soon as you came on stage, she goes, I knew you were going to win. She goes, you just shone on stage and you've got a really great stage presence. And maybe that's
we come back to that aura. Here's that aura again.
That's all right. And I'm also I love getting, I didn't know we were being filmed today, but I did my hair and makeup because I still want to feel beautiful even if no one sees it. I feel good about myself with hair and makeup.
And there's a certain costuming of I'm getting into a mode to perform now, and I'm putting on my war paint to hear people sort of refer it to as well.
That's right. And I bought my first corduroy jacket. I've never owned a corduroy jacket before, but I just sort of noticed it's
very Melbourne.
It's very Melbourne, Collingwood, it's Fitzroy-ish, it's Brunswicky, and I haven't owned, and I bought corduroy pants. I haven't owned those since I was 13 in the 70s. So, yeah.
So you came on stage with an energy. I love that they were already going, yeah, there's a winner. And I feel like the term X Factor has become a sort of a nothing term since the TV show, because people just think of it as the talent TV show. But there is that X Factor that so many people have there's a gravitational quality to that individual. I don't know what it is, and we can't really necessarily coach it into someone or get someone to emulate it in another person. There will just be people that have that X Factor. We go, I don't know what it is, but I love watching them. I love hearing them. And there's something about them that lights up a room.
I think so, Marcel. I think the other thing too, when we talk about gratitude, is I believe in vibrational energy. When you're full of gratitude, you vibrate at a different energy. And I think because we're made up of is salt and water and magnesium and a couple of chemicals running around our bodies, and we're pulsating. And I always say we're spiritual beings having a human experience. I didn't make that up. I heard it from someone. I love that. I go, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. But what makes me is my spirit, and it goes back to culture too, and connection to the DNA and the blood that runs through my veins, being a Bachelor Kununjali Wapabara woman. I'm a saltwater woman from Queensland, and that's where my identity comes from. And we were talking about comedy the other day, and whether or not I know it or not, it will be political on stage, just different things that come out, of your mouth. But it gives me a space and a place where I feel that I belong and can contribute to people laughing and having.
And just by taking up space, it's political.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm dropping in to the middle of this episode because I want to tell you about the Patreon. I want you to sign up. $5 a month gives you access to all of this good stuff. 90 episodes behind the paywall, weekly bonus episodes. It also gives you access to our Discord group, a Discord that is full of comedians from around Australia and slowly the world, swapping material, offering advice, getting ideas, getting booked on gigs, expanding their networks. $10 a month gets you access to our weekly workshops where I invite comedians from around Australia, professional comedians, to help workshop your material. It's such a good deal. Check out the Comedy Writers Group on Patreon. Check out our podcast on all the good podcast platforms. Hey, thanks for watching this episode. Which is why when I talk to some comedians, they go, oh, do I have to actually say something political to be political? No, you just taking up space is already huge.
That's exactly right. And I think getting back to when I first got into comedy and you talk about the X factor, look, I think for me, I'm not afraid to fail at comedy. I'm not afraid to have a meltdown. I'm not afraid to forget my lines because I know it's not the end of the world. The end of the world is when I've been working in labour ward for 12 hours and we still haven't had a baby and the woman's pushing and the husband's and the grandparents and
and seeing a lot of death.
Absolutely.
My mum was a midwife. She's done so much different nursing sort of roles, and she talks about how precious it is to deliver a healthy baby, 10 fingers, 10 toes, because she has seen everything that can happen.
The other side of it. I was really blessed with a great career because most of the times, I don't know what it is. I know that I've got healing hands and I've been in spaces and I always go into knowing that there's a higher power working through me to work with women and their families and babies, and I had such a wonderful time doing that. And I know that I'm a great educator. I was an antenatal birth educator for many, many years. I was also a nurse educator with private companies, and I guess that's where my love of educating and watching people's knowledge and skills grow. And that's what I've loved about my own journey is going, I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not, and I think to myself too, when I was going on stage, I think we're doing a charity event for Lizzie Who's brother's school at one of the theatres in this area. I can't think of the theatre where, and I go, why do I have to go on after Lizzie Who? Like, I don't want to go on after Lizzie Who. Like, I don't want to go after. That's why I said to Alex Ward the other day, I'm so glad you're going after me, Alex. I just don't want to. But you know what that does? And Kevin Crapigno, when we do the Aboriginal Comedy All-Stars, he goes first and then I follow from him, and he can bang it out of the ballpark with his comedy. Is just bam, 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 bam. But what that does is ignite the energy of the audience. So when you come on, I could just say hello and just smile and they'll love me, So
you rise to the occasion.
You rise to the occasion because you go, oh my God, he set the scene for me. I've got to be. But we're getting back to 2022, Marcel. After I won Deadly Funny and came back and came back from, that was in April, it was Easter weekend, Deadly Funnies, part of Comedy Fest. Then I did some NAIDOC events and I woke up 3 years ago, July 3 years ago, I woke up to a missed phone call from someone I didn't know. They left a message. Hello, my name's Wes Snelling. You don't know me, but please ring me back. I want to talk to you about an opportunity. So I rang him back. I said, hello, Wes. And he goes, I work with the Aboriginal Comedy All-Stars. Unfortunately, one of our comedians has had to pull out and we're looking for a female comedian to come overseas to the Edinburgh Fringe. But the thing is, we're leaving in 2 weeks and we need to know, do you have a passport and do you want to come? I said, just let me think about it. Yes. 2 weeks later, I'm doing Fringe.
See, this is like a movie. This is wild. Like, but just because the beauty as well of like, one thing, like it's such a gift, and I want everyone to be practicing this gratitude that has the fortune of, I do this gig and it leads to this gig and it leads to this gig, because a lot of people do shows and they don't, and this is at least visibly they go, someone didn't come up to me afterwards and say, hey, I've got the next thing for you. Like, and when that does happen, oh, what a gift and what good fortune and what a great thing to happen. So Edinburgh.
So 2 weeks later, I had a part-time job which they allowed me to do overseas. I took my work laptop with me. I put my studies on hold. I've still got to go back and finish. I've got a year's worth of study. I've still got to do a Bachelor of Fine Arts yet. Still in the yes, it's on hold. And so 2 weeks later, I'm texting Wes. We met at Doha International Airport in the crossover lounge, getting ready for our new next flight to Edinburgh. We shared a place for 4 weeks. I don't think I was prepared for and I'm speaking to everyone who's been to Edinburgh Fringe, the enormity of it. Mm. The escalation of doing a comedy club in Brisbane to going on the biggest stage in the world. And I compare it to Melbourne International Comedy Festival, one of the biggest stages, but I didn't realise how huge it was. I was frightened the first night when we went on. I had never met Kevin before. I'd never met Jay Waimara. I'd never met Sean Chilborough, but the four of us were a quartet and we went on stage and they said, you've got 7 minutes. I've never done a 7-minute gig before. So I'm going, okay.
So you've just been doing 5s up until then?
I've been doing 3 to 5 minutes up until then, just really quick, building my rapport. And then I go on stage and then I wrote a couple of jokes, ran it by them, obviously. We'd been, running things by, and came off and went, oh, my God, I'm so glad. And I go, how long did I take? And they go, you were on there for 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
So you thought you'd done your first 7. What a rush, and you'd done half the time.
And I'm going, what? I said, I feel like I've been on there for 10 minutes. I'll never forget it. They go, you still had another 4 minutes if you wanted it, Janty. I'm not greedy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a way better instinct than coming up and being told, yeah, you did 40 minutes. Oh, okay.
And that was a beauty. They actually said, Kevin said, Janty, that was really good. He said, because you did 3 quick jokes, we got laugh, laugh, laugh. He goes, but if you were on there just blabbing away, he goes, I would have pulled you off,
Yeah.
So you did the right thing. He goes, it's always better to do 3 quick, short, sharp jokes, get some laughs and get off. He said, you didn't even know that. You just did it instinctively.
Yeah, there was an instinct like that. That feels like an out. There's been a beautiful theme to this of community and being brave enough to ask for help and being courageous. Like even for the first gig, I'm gonna call everyone up and run things by them and ask them, okay, what should I be doing? And having that the bravery, the guts, the whatever, the vulnerability, the modesty it can be humbling to go, oh, I need help, or can I have some guidance, or what do you think about this joke? There's a lot of people out there that see stand-up as a solo art form, so therefore the idea of saying, can I get help with this joke, or how should I do this, is sort of against the rules, so to speak. And obviously I advocate for please help people. But can you give us some insight, like what you got from Sean, of what have you heard from people that are like, oh, this is like front of mind for me now, of the things that I've been learning from the people around me?
To be prepared when you go on stage. And so, because I would say to the guys, how do you prepare? What do I need to do? And out of those 3, and Wes and the other people that I come across, is prepare, practice in the mirror. I also rang my brother, who is an actor-director, and I said, how do you prepare for monologues? And he goes, it's practice. He goes, walk from room to room, someone said, get a hairbrush, practice in the mirror, film yourself and watch yourself. So I did all of that. So when the guy, but one of the most beautiful things, the boy, especially Shawnee Chilborough, he does it to this day. He grabs my hands and he goes, they are going to love you. He'll smile at me. You give that beauty. He goes, give them love, because the love you give out, you receive back. And that's what I found about the European audience. I'll call it the European audience because there are people from, across, the Netherlands, Germany, French.
It's everyone in those Edinburgh
Everyone
audiences.
is coming, because when you go off the stage and the gratitude I learnt from the Aboriginal Comedy All-Stars, that's Kevin, Jay and Sean, after the show, we would go off the stage first and we would greet all 80 guests, or how many we'd sold that night. Most nights we had lots of sold out, but we had, 60 to 80 people come out. We thank them. Thank you so much for coming to our show. Let's have a photo together. I've got to mention.
I love that. Same thing I'm doing at Roadshow as well.
And I actually do it on Roadshow a lot. I don't go back behind this. I actually go down and I can try to stand somewhere where I can thank people. And even if I can't thank them and I can see them coming down, I go, thank you so much for coming, blow them kisses. Thank you for coming. I really loved you. I think I'm like a kid in a candy shop. Maybe I just want to see their faces and get the feedback and go, did you have a great night tonight, you know?
But it's also, it's for me with that, and I talked a little bit about it with Maddie, and it is that quality of going, well, this is what I'm doing it for, and I don't take this for granted, and it's so, I recognize this is so special. I never want to get too cynical about it. I never want this to be like, so, oh yeah, it's totally normal that I just performed to 700 people and oh yeah, let's get in the car and get out of here. No. Like for those people who are doing roadshow all the time, and especially like if you're doing tech or the producer role, it is a bit more like, okay, this night's over, let's go home. Totally fine, I get it. But for me, I'm like, this is magic. And I don't want this to stop being magic. And that is me standing next to the door and going, thanks so much for coming. The very idea that anyone wants to get a photo with me, I'm not a household name. I haven't been on the telly. And it rules that people are like, someone took a photo with me and said, I'm going to put this next to my Dave Hughes photo. I'm like, that's delightful. And if I didn't make the time to go out into the lobby, I wouldn't have learned that.
That's what I learned in Edinburgh for flying. So we had a 5:20 show and there's a bit of a crossover at 5 p.m. I became known, and I still am to this day, the best flyer anyone's seen. So in Edinburgh.
I've seen you flying. You're excellent flyer.
Flying is the way you connect with your audience and the audience that you didn't know you wanted to be there. And often after we'd done a show in Edinburgh, the lady would say, you stopped by our table and asked for a slice of pizza. And you said, come to my show, or you stopped me at the pub. So people remember you, you know, and we had lots, and plus we didn't want to bring all those flyers back to Australia. There's just boxes and boxes and boxes.
It's embarrassing.
Of flyers. But we would often go up to the top. We performed at Assembly, so we go up to the top of the road there, the four of us, and I'd have clapsticks. Shawnee would have the didgeridoo and someone would have the boomerang, and we would play and sing and get people to come. And they'd go,
beautiful way to be eye-catching, point of difference.
Point of difference. You know, we had an amazing show, and then 2 incidences happened at Edinburgh which I have to share because so my brother is the director of the Sapphires. You know, he was the director of the Sapphires. And so in
the theatre production?
Yes, he's been in it, helped direct it, the film. And so Chris O'Dowd was in the Sapphires.
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to me, the boys had been somewhere where they met Chris O'Dowd, and they told Chris O'Dowd, you have to come to see our show. So they knew about my connection. They didn't tell me Chris O'Dowd was in the audience.
Wow.
So I get up and I started making these jokes about, because I've got Scottish and Irish connections. I said, if I don't find a man here in Scotland, I'm going to Ireland, you know. And I heard this, I don't know, I heard this voice laughing. I went, that's an Irish laugh. Irish people laugh differently. And I didn't think anything of it. So I go and stand side of stage to watch the rest of the performance, and then I look into the audience, and right in the middle is Chris O'Dowd.
Because you can see the audience now. You don't have the light in your eyes that you can see with that clarity.
Chris O'Dowd is very tall. I think he's 6'4". He's massive. And it's funny, I was with a friend of mine, Pieta, who was in Edinburgh. Pieta, can't think of Pieta, your last name, it doesn't matter. But Pieta showed me a picture of me hugging Chris O'Dowd just the other night. We were at a comedy club here in Melbourne. And he came out afterwards and he told me, Chris O'Dowd said, you are bloody funny. You know, you are bloody funny. It's bloody crack up. You're a bloody great. You know, I don't know if I'm doing an Irish accent.
You are nailing it right now. The role is yours.
And Chris O'Dowd was in the audience and he friggin' I think that's why.
That's going in the gratitude journal.
I was so grateful. And then we get down to our very, very last show. So we've done 28, 29 shows.
And how are you going stamina-wise?
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
When I commit to something and I'm there, the adrenaline's pumping. So,
And I assume you were stopping drinking multiple drinks before a show, or was that still part of the Janty method?
I never drink. Rarely ever drink. I never drank once before going on to the stage. I'll drink afterwards in the artist bar. I think as when we were doing shots, I said to someone, I haven't done a shot since 1984. I'm too old to do shots. I was a shot girl. Like I was shotting, having late nights. But I also slept really well, and I'm there. And I think
Pace yourself.
I know how to be part of a team. I said, when you're doing like Slight Roadshow, when you're doing Aboriginal Comedy All Stars, you know, you're only as good as each other and you pull together. It's like a rope, you know, and you've got the twines of a rope and how you work together. And I think we just had a magical quartet. So we're getting down to the last show, and I go see a stage performance adjacent to where we are. And who should be the producer director of this stage show is the is it Brian Cox? You know, he's in
Succession?
Yes. Mr. Cox is standing there with his wife. We're being introduced.
Excited for this impersonation.
Janty's going over, and I don't think I can do a Scottish accent.
And you're right.
I go up to Brian. I go, hello, Mr. Cox, lovely to meet you. And I go, what are you doing tonight? Would you like to come to the last show? He goes, oh, no, can't, Janty. We're going to London. I don't know what accent I'm doing now. And he goes, we're going to London. I go, Mr. Cox, you won't believe this, but we're performing at the Soho. We're doing 2 shows. If you come, I'll have a complimentary ticket for you. Brian Cox and his wife were front and centre at our show.
No way.
Yep. Standing, cheering, came back afterwards, gave us big laughs and hugs and said it was because we had a great show. You know when you know that the show is amazing? I'm not afraid to shout that from the rooftops. We had an incredible and
please, more people do this. Back yourself. That's what we want. We want people to have the guts to go, we put on a great show. We're really good at this.
It was by the time we'd done 28, 29 shows, when we came down and did the 2 which were sold out. And Reuben Kay was there too. Like Reuben was doing K-Hole, or Reuben was doing a show, I think.
We might get the record for most name drops in this episode. We love it though. The shout outs are awesome. And this is the thing, is knowing the gratitude. And people that I love hearing my name on a podcast as well, and it shows I saw you, I see you, I recognize you, I value you.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Well, I have to say then I have to mention, like I mentioned Wes, and I've mentioned all the Aboriginal Comedy All Stars. You know, Andy Saunders, Elaine Crombie, Kylan Ambram, who's been a producer. But my beautiful friend Nellie Thomas produced and directed my first show, 6 Deadly Decades with Aunty Janty. Just have to do a shout out to Nellie. And this is, I understand, you know, when not that it's the same when you're winning an Oscar award or an Emmy or a Logie or an actor award, but when you go up and you go, if I haven't written down, who do I thank? And you really hope people don't take it personally, you know, that you forgot to thank them. Because
my brain also melts in moments. Like people say, oh, who are your favourite comedians? And I'll go, just being put on the spot. So I've made like notes in my phone to go, okay, here are actually some of the comedians, so I actually know what I'm talking about in those moments.
I think when you do roadshow and you're working with Sam Taunton and everyone's calling him Taunts, and I go, am I allowed to call you Taunts too?
And then, but then there are moments where you're like, I forget that person's first name because people only refer to them as Taunts. I find that, I mean, you mentioned Geraldine Hickey before. When I call her Jez, I go, Jez. I don't know if I'm at Jez level yet.
Yeah. Well, I was calling her Geraldine. Hi, Miss Hickey. Hi, Geraldine. And everyone's going, oh, where's Jez? Jez this and Jez that. Oh, can I have to name drop another person.
Yeah, please.
Oh, my God. So when Nellie was having her 50th birthday party at Grouse, and in should walk one of my heroes, Denise Scott, walked in.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God. And I just said, hello, Miss Scott. And then everyone's calling her Scotty. I go, can I call you Scotty? I always ask because I think it's a nice thing to do, because people just come out and start calling me Aunty Janty, and I go, can you just call me Janty?
Yeah, we're not there yet, okay?
Yeah, you're still just, you know, you're a white fella. Just call me Janty for the minute, you know. I get older white men who are in their 80s calling me Aunty Janty. I go, mate, I'm younger than you, you know. But Denise Scott, and I just held her hand and I talked to her, and because, you know, she's in my era and just someone I've grown up watching on so many TV shows, and she came to my show.
Oh, wow.
At Melbourne, and she goes, I think I could. I said, Scotty, we're waiting for your comeback. And then she's on, have you been paying attention? You know, like you see Denise's beautiful face and you go, oh my gosh, you know. And then
I saw her on Spelling Bee last night as well. She was really, really great. Yeah.
She's just, and these are people that I've seen on telly that are, you know, like 10 centimetres away from me. You know, I could kiss them if I wanted to.
and that's the beauty of the Australian comedy scene, I find, is that it's vast and there's so much talent in it, but it's also so small that you can meet your heroes quite quickly if you are exuding the right stuff, talent, warmth, commitment, keen eye, like all the qualities that you have talked about across this episode. It leads you to places where you are performing to the star of Succession, Brian Cox.
and I'm going to get J.Y. Murray to listen to this because he was with me when we met Mr. Cox, and I said, I flyed to Brian Cox and he came to our show in London. It just goes to show you, if you don't, like in that moment, if I had have got all gushy and said, but, you know, he's just a normal person like everyone else. And I say, when my brothers worked with Kate Blanchett, you know, and he did The New Boy and Warwick Thornton's, and I said to my brother, what's it like, Kate Blanchett? And he goes, she's just like you or I, Janty. And I go, no, she's not.
Yeah, these people become human so quickly. And it's not to take away from their majesty, but it is just, you realise that they're humans. But what I love about you plugging your show to Brian Cox is that most people would talk themselves out of it. And Jay's right. And also, Jay, you said you'd sign up to the Comedy Writers Group. So
hasn't he done that yet? I'm going to get onto him because I think there's two spots at Dalesford. I saw that you got 1 or 2 spots at Dalesford. But he didn't. I think this is what I've learnt from my brother about humility and being in the space. Yes, you can be starstruck for a moment. But if I hadn't have said to Mr. Cox, he goes, oh, yes, Janty, we're going to London. We're going to be in London for a week. And I said,
the accent's getting better.
It's getting better. So I'm going to be wee, but I'd love to have
The listeners are going, has Brian Cox stepped into the room now? Is he there?
And it was like the universe collided because I said, we're at the Soho. So his wife gave me her email address. I emailed her, contacted, we had everything organised, and we just waited with bated breath to see if Brian would show up. And there he was. And somehow you can spot him in the audience. You know, you just go, there's Brian Cox.
He's got that X factor. I'm Brian Cox.
I love sharing that story, especially. Oh my God.
Because for me, I've got an anxious brain and I'm an expert in talking myself out of things. Like even a simple level of, there's a new comedy room in town. Well, who am I to message them and ask for a spot? They're new. There's probably a lot of people. I'd like to invite someone to do, you know, my improv show with me. Oh yeah, I'm sure they're busy. And I practice, and I'm in practice of being bold enough to reach out to guests for the podcast and reach out to guests to do my shows, because I am often surprised by people going, yes, I would love to. Thanks for asking. And I think as well, people at the top, the people that you think would be too busy, too good, too whatever to do that, I think a lot of people stay away from inviting them because they've talked themselves out of it. To be the person brave enough to go, hey, would you like to do this? Go, oh, yeah, cool. No one ever asked me to do things. You're like, yeah, but I'm going to be the one brave enough, and you can let yourself surprise yourself. Or even just get that response where people get it sometimes where they go, oh, I can't do it this time, but thanks so much for asking, and ask me next time. And you go, oh, that wasn't so scary.
Take a chance. I did something really crazy a couple of years ago. I knew I was in Byron Bay. I was going down for another jaunt. I love going to Lennox and Byron and Suffolk, all those places. And I knew it came up I was going to be there Friday the 13th. And I saw Tommy, now it's Tommy Little, was performing at the Brunswick Picture House on Friday the 13th. And I just had this crazy idea. I thought, it's Friday the 13th. Tommy needs a black person to open for him. He needs a black comedian to open for him.
Is there something about Friday the 13th I don't know about?
I don't know. It was Black Friday. I thought, and I'm a black comedian and I'm BLAK.
Okay.
And so I got in contact with Steph Tisdale. I said, Steph, you got any connections to Tommy? She did. I contacted them. I said, They said, yes, Janty, would you like to do 5 minutes at the top of Tommy's show?
You got to do it.
I was in Brunswick.
You got to be brave enough to ask.
6 girlfriends came along. I invited another 5 people bought tickets. They came along. And at the beginning of the show, and Tommy probably doesn't remember this, Tommy, I was so nervous. Tommy Little is like 2 feet from me. And he goes, Janty, if you want to do 20 minutes, you can. And Nathan was the producer. Nathan, works at Typecast, that's my friend, Tony Briggs. Token. And I had practiced 5 minutes earlier. We'd done the tech run, and there was a part of me that thought, oh, Janty, you've got at least 7 to 10 minutes. And Tommy's going, you can just take as long as you want.
You can do at least 3.5.
And I'm thinking for a moment there, will I, won't I, will I, won't I? And I went out and did a very, very tight 5 minutes. And then I said to Nathan afterwards, I said, Tommy said I could have done 20, but I didn't think that would look really good. And this is something for people up and coming when you're new to the industry, and I still think I'm new, is befriend the techs, the guys that are working behind the scenes, the ones that are managing the microphones and the sound and the music.
Learn their names. They're people.
Shake their hands and say thank you so much, because I think I get that gratitude from my mum, who was a cleaner for 30 years, never finished primary school, only had a grade 5, 6 education. But my mum was one of these people that always thanked people, and I learnt that gratitude and that humble experiences from my mum, especially mum and dad, but especially mum, about how you treat people behind the scenes, and her being a cleaner for such a long time. But she did her job. She was a renowned cleaner, like my friends will say, your mum was one of the best cleaners at the hospital, you know.
And these are the often overlooked roles, but they're doing so much to make the world a better place as well.
Absolutely. And I think I'm always aware of cleaners in any place that I go to. If they're putting the chairs out or taking the rubbish away or cleaning up the tea and coffees, especially to the smaller venues that you go to in the country, go, hi, what's your name? Jane. Hi, Jane. Thank you so much for making the green room. Thank you for all the food you put in there. That was amazing. I really appreciate, even if it's tea and coffee, thank you so much for the tea and coffee. Just those little things, it means something to them as well, that you notice. People want to be noticed.
People want to be seen.
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
Humongous. It's huge. It's huge. We're going to round out this time. This has been such a great chat, and I want to round it out by talking it, because one of the themes as well has been from going from 3 and a bit minutes to 5 to being offered 20 minutes to open for Tommy, and then doing your first hour. So talk a little bit about, like, what was that experience like to be given the keys to take up space?
55 minutes. There's so many times. I think this is where the people around you, like Wes and Kev and the Aboriginal Comedy All-Stars and Nellie, believing in you. I said to Nellie, I wrote a show that's 3 hours long. I said, I don't know how I'm going to talk for 55 minutes.
Because you were doing your life story, essentially.
I've got a part 2, part 3, part 4. And
as most life stories ought to. They can't be summarised neatly in 55 minutes.
33 pages, and sending this to Nellie and talking to Nellie about it. And also my sister is I call her my co-producer and creator. So when I got my check from when the money hit my account for my, for show, I gave some money to my sister. She goes, I don't want your money. I said, no, that's to thank you for, you helped produce, you saw 3 of my, when you were in Melbourne for 4 days, you saw me 3 times, you came back and back, because she features heavily in it.
Recognizing that's work. It's work.
I think it's I backed myself. Like I thought, is it funny enough? Is it going to be great enough? Is the show, people going to love it? And what I learnt was, when you make yourself vulnerable and put yourself on stage, and it actually became funnier and funnier. I took it to Brisbane Powerhouse for 2 shows. It was brilliant. Like, by that, it's got a different vibe. And can I just plug myself? I'm going to be at Comedy Republic as part of the replay program on July 4th at 7:30 p.m.
It's such a great show. I loved it. And I even saw, even though I saw an early version, and I know you're still sort of, it's taking shape and I'm still figuring it out. But the version what I loved about the version I saw was, you said, last night I had to rush through a lot, and I didn't get through like most of the show. So tonight I am going to make it a mission to get through more of it. And it added a game to the show, a sort of an additional element of I need to keep up with myself, and I need to get through the content, and it added an urgency to the show and a beautiful pace and rhythm to the show too, which was really, really fun. And also a lot of latecomers as well, that you felt like a beautiful host, a beautiful sense of like, I'm going to hold space for myself, for the audience. I'm going to celebrate myself. So I quite liked that feeling of like, anyway, next thing, and here's what happened next, and knowing that we've only seen the tip of the iceberg in terms of what makes a person's story, but still being able to get a glimpse with the beautiful photography was a really nice touch. To have the photos from across the years added such a lovely texture to it. So I really hope people in Melbourne check out the show. Would this be the last time this one's performed before you start working on the next one?
When I did roadshow after we completed the 10 shows, we took it on the road and I did 6 roadshows. I took most of that material and condensed it into 15 minutes. And so I'm using a lot of that as new material, which is fabulous when you've got new material and you're sharing it. And when Steph came to see the Aboriginal Comedy All-Stars at the Powerhouse recently, she said, Janty, you've got new lines in comedy that I've never heard before. So it's really nice when people know your stuff and they go, that's new, I'd never heard that before. Even my son said when he because he features in it as well, when he saw it at the Powerhouse, he just said to me, Mom, oh my God, he said, you can hold your own on stage. He goes, you're a really powerful presence. And when your son, who's been watching comedy all his life, you know, and says that to you as his mum, he goes, I'm so proud of you, that just makes it all worthwhile that your son loves your show.
Yeah, that's awesome. To as we punctuate this episode, the power of in a handful of years going from 3 or 4 minutes at an open mic to a couple of handfuls of people, shall we say, to then hundreds of people, and then combining those audiences to the thousands that you've performed to over time is such a huge accomplishment. And I hope that's very firmly written in permanent ink in that gratitude journal of how special that is and how remarkable it is, because that does not happen to everyone all the time. So that X factor, that aura, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because I'm excited to see what comes next. And it's so lovely to have your presence in the Comedy Writers Group as well. Thank
you so much. And I think the Comedy Writers Group has made me realise that the generosity of people in the jokes, because I'm currently writing about Robert Irwin, and Robert, if you're listening, I love you, but I hope you come to my show. I'll come up and perform it at Australia Zoo, and I'm just writing about you at the moment, and because I really want that gig in the jungle with Julia Morris. I'm telling you, Robert, I want to kick you. And
you can't have all the roles. You can't have all the jobs.
I think
we have all the Irwins love to listen.
I hope so. I'm going to tag him.
Janty, tell people where they can find you on the internet.
So I'm just Janty_Blair on Instagram and Janty Blair on Facebook. And I'm that's about it, really.
Yeah, and people can see your show at Comedy Republic
in a couple of weeks' time. And
they can come and check out the street party at NAIDOC week as well.
Come and check out the street. And I think I'm at a little club 2 nights before. Now, it's here in Brunswick, and I think it's on Sydney Road, because I want to give them a plug too. I think it's Miss Maisie's Comedy Club. Have I got that right?
It sounds like it could be a thing.
It's something.
I'm sure they can find it on your Instagram, yeah?
Yeah, I think we haven't started advertising for that, but the gratitude is I'm just so grateful to be here on a Sunday afternoon talking with you, Marcel.
It's lovely to have you. Oh, this could have been 2 hours, Janty.